two cameras on iPads running from two different angles. And we got YouTube Live going on here. And we're waiting for a phone call from Chad. Let's see. He's calling in from Canada. So, the title is Freenomics, How to Use Free Economics to Build a Business. Coming up, and two people waiting here. And Chad Nedohin just liked my truth. And Donald Trump just posted a thingy, a truth, I guess you'd call it. Kind of new at this. Hey, waiting for your call, Chad. Now, let's see. Done. Copy. Huh. Notify me. Two are waiting. So there's two people watching this. We'll see what happens. 10 minutes. Let's see here. This is a learning experience, so we're going to talk about this new space just created on Quora called TruthSocial and Trump Truths. I'll be talking DWAC. That's what he said. "2 p.m. Eastern time." Hey, that's pretty good. Right on. Retruth. So he has a little Chad Nedohin has a little check mark by his name. I don't. But so Chad Nedohin has 2,000 followers and 1.63 thousand people following him. So let's see who's following him. A guy named Indefensible. Scrolling down here to see. 4 are waiting now. Interesting. Share. Copy. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go live in about 9 minutes here. It's good news. However, these bankers need to tell the public what's going on. Okay. Well, that's fine. So people, let's quote this quote and hit at Real Donald Trump. Chad. Charlie Kirk at Devin. Truth. DWAC. The SEC and DWAC. DWAC U. Popped Decorn. I think that's a negative site or a negative person. DWAC. Okay, let's see what happens. Takes a minute for it to go through. So now we go to DWAC hashtag and we see this stuff. Well, I think we're almost ready. This will be my first interview. Live stream. Here we go. We're going to go live now. Four viewers are waiting. Okay. Go live. Okay, we're going live. Here we are. Welcome to the University of Freenomics, which will be videotaped live and put on the space at Quora, University of Freenomics. And I just got this notice that we're live. Hey, all right. Okay, so we're going to be listening to Chad Nedohin, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, about DWAC, Digital World Acquisition Corporation. And we're waiting. Oh, he called and I missed his call. Darn it. He just called from Edmonton, Alberta. So let's see. See if he'll call back. There he is. Hey, are you there? Echo. How you doing, Chad? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker. Can you hear me now?
There you go. I can hear you now.
All right. Hey, good to see you. Hear from you. I mean, I guess we're live on YouTube, eh?
Yes, I'm monitoring it on another screen.
All right. Hey, that's great. So we want to talk about DWAC, the SEC, eh?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's an important thing to talk about today, especially with where things are at in the market and with the effort. We are really rolling today.
Right on. So all of a sudden, go ahead.
I was going to say, some people, anybody who's watching who hasn't been following, we started a lobbying campaign about 2 weeks ago, specifically a week and a half ago, to get shareholders sending all of the required information and the complaint to their congressional representative, so that we can get probably end up being the committee that's been formed to deal with the weaponization of government. To put their boot to the SEC and their legal behavior and move forward. And this morning, we've started receiving responses back from some of the congressmen. So specifically, Dan Bishop got back to us. His office filed an official complaint with the SEC on behalf of shareholders, and he's communicated that he'll be bringing it up with his teams in Washington with the legislative groups. Yes, that's Dan Bishop, Rep. Dan Bishop. So we're seeing movement. He's not the first rep to have responded. We've seen that Scott Perry, I believe, and a few others have responded, and over the last little while, and we're starting to see movement, and it's really good. So we're excited. I mean, this is it. The GOP has the House, and So DWAC, the SEC, is the topic of the week.
So why would you, as a Canadian, I'm a Canadian citizen, I just sent an email to TruthSocial to get quote verified, right? Per your instructions. I don't know if you got a CC of that email, but
I did. I actually just saw it pop up.
awesome. So that means you got it, they got it.
Yes.
So why would you're a Canadian, eh?
I am a Canadian, hey, yeah. Although I get accused of, like most Canadians, of being too American, so, take that for what you will.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I don't fit in with Canada, most of Canada as well. I mean, I'm an Albertan, and we're all scrappy. You might as well call us, the Texas of Canada, so it's kind of how we fit in.
So why are you a stockholder then? I'm not a stockholder yet.
Absolutely, I'm a shareholder.
You're a shareholder.
Been in since like day 2, I think.
Oh.
Bought in when just as it was dropping below 100.
Oh.
Coming off the 175 feet. Bought my first share and then just kept buying and investing from there.
So you bought it dollar cost averaging down, eh?
I've averaged down. I've averaged up. I believe in the investment, so I keep going, right? That's I have warrants, I have shares, and I mean, if I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't sink the time and energy that I've sunk into this. It's important. I mean, you said you're Canadian as well, Alex, right?
Yeah, I'm a Canadian citizen. I moved to Canada in 1958 and lived there for, I guess 10 years, or 69 years. I left in 67 and came to the U.S. in Detroit when the riots were on, big time.
Oh.
And been here since 67. But I traveled a lot to Canada. I even had a couple businesses up in Victoria for a while. So that's where the A comes from, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm finding it's less and less prevalent, at least out, in the West. But it's still there. Some people give me the gears about my show. They said once in a while you really dig into that new dude about his kind of Canadian accent. They notice, but I try my hardest to speak clearly and avoid the accent as well as I can. But Victoria, hey, that's beautiful, beautiful territory.
Oh yeah, I love Victoria.
Communist as heck, but it's beautiful.
Oh, is it? I haven't lived up there to deal with there's another guy up there named Gabor Mate, who's not related. He's a psychiatrist, and he has been dealing with all the drug problems in Vancouver, on the streets of Vancouver.
It's absolutely brutal. The streets of there's a soldier I know who fought in Iraq who told me he'd rather live in Baghdad than in East Hastings Street, Vancouver.
Oh yeah, Hastings Street. That's it.
Yeah, East Hastings. I mean, I go out to Vancouver for business from time to time, just with what I do in engineering, and some of the areas that I hadn't been to Vancouver in like 20 years, and then I started going out there, and your plane touches down at 2 in the morning. You're pulling in at night. You're gonna get up after a few hours sleep. You're driving to your hotel room, and you're dodging junkies in the street, like just standing in the middle of the street, strung out, and you're trying not to hit them with your car, with your rental car, and it really is sad. And then I didn't know the place, so I booked a hotel that I thought was nice in a nice area. Didn't get that right, and ended up going across the road to grab some food from the corner store. And in the time I was there, in 5 minutes, they had 4 different junkies come in. They had to chase them out with the broom. Like, it's really sad. I mean, that being said, in terms of ministry work, it's deep waters for fishing for the Lord, right? But there's beautiful, beautiful territory. Just So Canadian. And so you're asking, why would a Canadian want to buy Digital World Acquisition? Why would somebody be interested in that investment? I'm assuming that's what you're asking.
Yeah. That's it.
So, I mean, up here in Alberta, I'm a freedom fighter, right? When the vaxes, and I've always been a conservative. I've always been heavily leaning towards the American-style conservatism, not just Canadian conservatism. I'm very conservative. I'm also, I love your Second Amendment. I think it's important. I'm also generally more of a Republican than I am I definitely don't agree with a constitutional monarchy. I think that Canada should be a republic, not a monarchy. And so overall, that's who I am generally. But when the COVID lockdowns were hit, I went to war, and differently. I started leading worship groups out in front of our legislature. I worked politically. I signed up hundreds and hundreds of people as part of a team of a core team of about 50 to 100, and maybe there were 250 of us that got together. We signed up enough people to take out our premier. We removed Jason Kenney. I know what it's like to be censored, and I understand the value of true free speech and what Truth Social brings. And I'm a Trump fan. And so in general, DWAC, Digital World Acquisition Corporation, investing in something you believe in, that is, despite the SEC, illegal behavior, should be a fantastic investment. You're investing in future. You're investing in what you believe in. Free speech. You're investing in freedom, really. And if you can't speak, you can't be free. And so for me as a Canadian, it's a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer.
Right on. So I see that you have like 2,000 followers on TruthSocial, and you got your verified check mark. Do you have a website? Oh, you're on Rumble too, eh?
I'm on Rumble. Well, I have the show DWAC Live on Rumble.
Okay.
And I'll explain how that came about. But I have a Facebook account that has 3,000 followers too.
So.
Okay. But here's so I can post on that Facebook account anything I want, and I'll be lucky to get one like.
Really?
Okay. One engagement. That's it. 3,000 followers.
Wow.
Why? Because they got me on a flat-out, straight-up shadow ban. Why? Because I'm involved in the freedom movements here. I hang out with some of the trucking convoy folks.
Oh.
And again, I was part of the movement to remove our WEF Premier Jason Kenney. And so, whereas on Truth, with 2,000 followers, I can post anything, even the crappiest meme. I did a crappy meme the other day and get 12 to 1,000 times the engagement, right? Like, the DWAC, the FCC post with the letter that we are getting out to the reps, and we'll talk about that in a minute, that post has got over 500 likes and 400 shares. Now, some of that's thanks to the Rat Pack. They're awesome. But, actually, a lot of it's thanks to the Rat Pack. If you're listening, you guys rock. You guys are what makes Truth Social go, period. And that's Rat Dog and her crew. So, but seriously, the engagement on Truth Social is insane. And what I've discovered is that if you aren't being held back and you have legitimately good content, you should be able to reach people with your message. Facebook is proof that they don't allow it. And even better, advertising. Years ago, I paid for advertising on Facebook when I put out an album in 2014, and that's how I got 3,000 followers to begin with. But as we're finding out, a lot of that's bots. And in fact, for every dollar I paid in advertising, it was like clockwork. Pay $1, get 4 followers. Pay $1, get 4 followers. That's pretty much, to me, seems like bot activity. So they're not even real followers; they're just fake. So it's really, really interesting to see what happens in a social media world that's built to operate the way it was intended to operate, with freedom, unrestricted.
I hear you.
Content is good. You're gonna do well.
So I'm looking at this letter you wrote, and you posted it on TruthSocial, and that's what got my attention. On January 4th, 2023, and it says request for congressional investigation into politicization of the United States Securities and Exchange Commission and its handling of the DWAC TMTG merger. And then I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you pretty much summarized a little history here, blah, blah. And that caught my attention, so that's why I originally contacted you. This is actually my first live interview on YouTube, believe it or not. So there's not very many people watching. There's like, I'm looking at the live stream. It says there's like, what, one person? That's you. No, wait, there's three people watching right now.
That's okay.
And I only have like, huh?
You've got 312 subscribers, though.
Yeah. I picked up three just yesterday, but I think you're supposed to have like 1,000 subscribers before your live stuff is actually live. It's like delayed, I think. They screen it.
And your monetization is limited to 1,000 subscribers as well.
Yeah.
It's a crappy platform. Rumble is 10 times better.
Is
Honestly,
it?
man,
Is it?
oh, way better. Now that streaming is free. When I started streaming in May, you had to have at least a paying account for $10 a month. But Rumble is awesome. Like they're like same thing. I've had a YouTube account for years. Yeah, I have a couple songs that have a couple thousand likes, but that's over years. Like Rumble is the way to go. I grow quickly on Rumble. It's fantastic.
Well, I noticed that the feed is delayed on YouTube because I'll move around in my. I have three cameras. I have the live feed, and then I have the two iPads, one to the left of me and one to the right of me. And it's when I look, it's a delayed feed by about 5 minutes. So chances are, if you say anything,
5 minutes. Wow.
yeah. So it's not really live.
Yeah, Rumble. Okay.
It's like misleading that it's supposed to be live, but it's not really live. And
yeah, and Rumble is only like a 17-second delay.
Is it? So I've been doing due diligence on this merger deal, and I looked at all the SEC filings, and the most recent one is on January 4th, where they noted a departure of directors and certain officers, right?
Yep.
And I sent you a Google Doc, which you probably got, and then I updated it.
Yep.
And it says these two guys, these new guys here. Let me scroll down here. Effective January 3rd, the board of directors of Digital World Acquisition Corporation elected Edward Preble and Mr. Frank Andrews as directors and as members of the Audit and Compensation Committee. Are you in touch with Devin Nunes?
Devin and I have not spoken. No. Devin is not the guy to be involved with DWAC. He can't be because TMTG, as in Trump Media and Technology Group, and Digital World Acquisition Digital World. They need to be separate companies. They need to function separately to avoid trouble with the SEC. That's just the rules. So obviously, I've had a couple of interviews with Patrick Orlando, the CEO of Digital World.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a relationship there. What I can say about directors, about SPACs in general, is that like SPACs are a quick startup and gone. It's not like a big operating company where you've got directors that are going to be there for years and they're coming up with ideas and running a company. SPACs are a little different, right? Because you form a SPAC, get a bunch of money, you find a target, you merge with that target, you disappear, and you start another SPAC. And that's how that works, right? It's a financing operation, much like an IPO, just different. And so for people who would have joined joined Digital World as directors and or officers like the CFO or the COO, they would have planned to be there for 3 months to a year, and that's why we needed an extension, because it's not meant to be a long-term company with offices and political lobbying and all things. They're a very simple setup, and once they're merged, they're moved on. Now, these gentlemen who take part in the board of directors and the officer roles are not paid, and they only own shares if they own shares. They're typically, friends or business connections of the SPAC CEO, and they're there to just for the thrill of IPOs. It's what they do. They take companies public through the merger process as opposed to a traditional IPO. So in the case of digital world, one cannot expect it to be any different. Now, it is different because it's like the SEC is dragging out this merger illegally, right? 250 plus days when they were supposed to respond in 30. What we believe now, the more research I do, is that this pre-merger announcement communication isn't. Not only was it not substantial, it may not have existed at all. It might be a flat-out lie by Elizabeth Warren and a few insiders who got mad that they didn't get what they wanted in the deal. But the point is, when you get on a year and a half in, it's politically incorrect. There are people who want to get back to doing IPOs in life. They want their life back. They want to go join other boards. They want to go do other SPACs. And so they're not being paid. And so they just move on, right? There's no animosity. There's no like, oh, DWAC's failing. It's just, okay, I signed on for 1 year. I gave you my 1 year. I'm going to go do something else because it's not really a job, right? It's not like it's not like Patrick where he's in it to the end, right? These are just kind of people to hang around with. And so from a SPAC perspective, with everything the company's been through, these departures are normal. And you can see from the filing that he had people ready to just come on board right afterwards. Other IPO people that are excited to be part of a merger completion sometime this year, right before September 8th. And so that's the officers part of it.
Got it. So what's the holdup? Why are they holding it up?
Because they hate Trump. It's as simple as
because they hate Trump.
Yeah.
Well, Twitter hated Trump until Elon Musk let him back on, and now he doesn't want to go back on there. I don't blame him. I've been banned from Twitter like since 2016. And
I left Twitter voluntarily. Back in my daughter was born in 2018. It was frustrating. It was so controlled. It was a waste of time for me. Plus, it's a cesspool. Facebook's bad enough, but Twitter was a cesspool. But no, I'm glad Trump didn't go back on. A lot of us DWAC shareholders were pretty nervous about that. That would have been pretty bad for us. And I mean, just so we're clear, Elon is doing great things for the world in exposing this corruption. It's fantastic, and we're very thankful. He's not doing great things for DWAC directly because, well, he's a competitor, and we were going to be the only true free speech platform out there. Now we have to compete, and so it's not as fun as we thought that way. And so I know there's lots of investors that think Elon's going to come in and save DWAC. I highly doubt it. He's already called it an echo chamber and doesn't like us, and said that we're the far right or whatever. So whatever. But he is doing great things for America, which will lead to a political victory for Trump, and in the end will result in digital world and TMTG merging and good things for the company. So indirectly he's helping, but directly he doesn't like us. We're his competitor, and he's already spoken out against us. So we have to.
Oh, really?
There was a lot of people out in April there are groups of DWAC shareholders that believe that Elon was going to buy the company and was involved in the startup of all of it. And we're finding out now that probably none of that was likely to be true. And so it's frustrating to see that misinformation go. Lots of people, including myself, bought into it because they had really good, what you call due diligence earlier.
Yeah.
They had good DD, or it sounded good, but it wasn't good. And so we're really careful now with what we push out.
Well,
in terms of narrative, the team that I work with.
Yeah.
And we don't want things to get out there that unless we've got some teeth, or at least be clear that we're speculating, that we're not certain. We have to be very careful about what I don't want people to invest in something based on a lie or a half-truth.
Right. So I have how difficult. I looked at the filings, the SEC filings, and one of the lawyers is Barry Grossman, and the other one is Mitchell Nussbaum, and then Patrick Orlando is the one that signs off on their financials.
Yes.
And they have some sort of $1 billion pipe deal pending. You know,
Yes.
private investment in what do they call it? Pipe. What is a pipe? Trying to remember.
Public enterprise.
Private investment in public equities. That's what it is. So the way it works is the pipe investors get to buy the shares at a discount to the market, usually between 5 and 10%, which doesn't really help the existing shareholders. And then I noticed that about $100 million worth of the pipe deal investors backed off when the SEC blocked their filings, right?
Yep.
So how difficult
would? It turns out.
Huh? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Ask your question, and I'll.
Well, my question is, how difficult would it be to get Patrick Orlando and Barry Grossman and Mitchell Nussbaum, the three representatives of DWAC, on the phone to discuss this pipe deal and do a swap for Penn Bancorp preferred stock, which is, issued at 6%, and I'm the founder of it.
That won't happen. The pipe deal is kept under tight wrap.
Yeah.
Even in my interviews, Patrick, even after building a relationship, he won't talk pipe deal with me ever. He won't on the show. There's no chance of discussing the pipe deal. The second thing going on with the pipe deal that we know from public information is that the company that backed out of the pipe deal was also shorting us.
Yeah.
They were playing us.
Right.
And they were not a good actor. And so now here's an interesting thing, okay? Uh-huh. You talked about pipe being able to buy at a discount, okay?
Yeah.
So it's like this. Look at the pipe price. It was supposed to be in the 50s, and then there's a deal they can buy it way cheaper if the price isn't high. So if the merger went through today and they had to get their shares based on the price today, they would get all the bonus shares, okay?
Right.
But interestingly enough, they're still buying at $30 some dollars, okay? The price today is $17.30. It was $18 on Friday. It's kind of bottomed out and on its way back up now, okay? Right?
Yeah.
$17.30, now it's on its way back up. So, and that's just day traders and hedgies shorting off of the Friday spike because they're playing the market. It's not like there's any news. But and the market's way down today, and there's all kinds of negative sentiment. But the warrants are still at zero, but they've been mostly green all day. But if you look at it like this, the share price is $17 or $18. That's half of what the pipe investors are still committed to buying shares at. So that's pretty impressive because that deal is technically expired. There's been no filing extending that deal, and only one hedge fund backed out of the deal. One. That's it. That means that all the other hedge funds that left the $890 or $880 million worth of pipe investing, okay, are still in, and they're willing to pay double what the price is at the bottom right now.
Right.
So what's going on there? That they're willing to stay in. They know something we don't. Is my guess. They know something. And again, like in preamble to my interviews with Patrick on my show.
Yeah.
I can ask about pipe and I gotta go away. Like it's not happening. He's so tight-lipped about that part of the investment, and it's good. That's good for us as investors because we can't have a CEO out there loose cannoning information to everyone. Patrick's been the most tight-lipped guy I can imagine. Like he is good at keeping information secure, which is why I don't believe for a second that there was tons of pre-merger communication, which is the reason the SEC is sitting on it, because they claim that there was pre-merger communication beyond what is acceptable. And now the filings that Patrick's lawyers have filed in response say, no, it was not substantial. But again, I'm deeply invested in the success success of TMTG and the stock. And I've done my research. Patrick's not the only source that I've tracked down and started finding things out about. And from what I hear, there was near no communication. Like, it was less than normal. And so, for me, that's a tell that the FTC, and again, being Gary Gensler, who was Hillary Clinton's campaign finance officer, chief finance officer for her campaign, and heavily in the deep state, and you have Melissa Hodgman-Strzok, who is Peter Strzok's wife, as in Trump fired Peter Strzok, FBI, who was trying the Russiagate guy.
Yeah.
She is in charge of the investigation into the pre-merger communication.
Oh, no.
She's as dirty as they come.
Oh, my God.
There was somebody on our Reddit sub and on Truth, and I got in contact with him afterwards, who posted an email that he believes he intercepted between an FBI or former FBI agent and this Melissa Strzok, laughing about crushing DWAC.
Oh.
Maybe they were fishing on him to try and find out who was intercepting their emails, but this email exists, and I know where it came from, and I know the source, and the source is legit. Now, whether the email is just a fake that somebody sent to try and stop us, or try and throw us off, or figure out who's been watching them, that's a different story, but it exists. So we know that this weaponization of the three-letter agencies extends to the SEC, and it's time for it to stop. And so, it's a fight, and that's why we're writing the letters. That's why we're contacting congressional reps, and that's why we have the social media push, because what's going on is flat out illegal at this point. The corporate finance division of the SEC is a separate entity from the enforcement section of the SEC. They are not allowed to work together. They are not allowed to communicate. Therefore, if enforcement under Melissa Hodgman-Strzok is busy doing an investigation, she can't legally call up corporate finance and say, don't process the merger. She can't do that. But that's what they've done. And that's extraordinarily illegal. And the proof is that after 30 days, we should have had a return of the document back in June and moved forward with the merger. And now we're at 250 days, and they've just stopped communicating. So that's it. That's really where we stand.
So how'd you come up with that DWAC, the SEC pun? It's kind of like leave it to a Canadian to have a sense of humor about it, eh?
Yeah, well, okay, so shareholders are pissed off, and we formed up into an activist group.
Uh-huh.
I have a whole team, wonderful people that hang out with me on a secure chat,
right.
And you'll know who they are on Truth. You'll see we're all retruthing each other's posts. We're working together. We tag each other. So we have private chats, and when we decided to kick off this effort, I said, okay, guys, we need a hashtag that sticks.
Uh-huh.
And the team just went to work. We threw out hundreds of hashtags at each other. And it was Adam. It was you'll see him on Truth as well. My friend Adam threw out. He said, why don't we just keep building off of Chad's show name, DWAC Live, and why don't we DWAC the FCC? And that just stuck. It rolls off the tongue. It's witty, and it works with the company name. And so now I see people on Twitter using it. People I've never even heard of are using it. The New York Times did a whole article about it. The New York Times did a whole article about it. Like, it's impressive that, and I know where this hashtag came from. It was a bunch of us sitting around at night on a chat app, throwing out titles till we got one, and we threw it out, and within 24 hours, it was everywhere.
So just for disclosure purposes, I've had my run-ins with the SEC, and it's no fun. It's not a picnic, right? I've gone around and around with them, and I finally just gave up one time, and that was the end of the story. And then they came after me, and they didn't get a damn penny out of me. You know what I'm saying? So if I come in there and buy 2.5 million shares of DWAC from an offshore bank account by selling shares in Penn Bank Corp, the short interest will be wiped out, wouldn't it?
Completely.
Okay.
The
And
short
then if
interest would
and
be
then if I got a hold of Patrick and these lawyers and talked to them, that's why I asked that question. I said, okay, what's your pipe deal? I think pipe deals are a bunch of crap, personally. It doesn't benefit the existing shareholders. It dilutes them, and it gives unfair advantage to bigger investors and bigger money, in my opinion. But I don't know. It's like 6 degrees of separation. You got Devin, or it's Devin, right? Devin probably talks to Patrick, right? Devin,
no, Devin and Patrick don't talk. That's the thing. The TMTG guys
the lawyers
and
talk.
the DWAC guys
Somebody
are
has to be
supposed
talking.
separate now until merger.
Right, but somebody has to be talking.
Their lawyers probably communicate, but they can't just like sit around and be like, "So, how do we get this merger to go?"
That cracks
So
me up
they
that
have,
they can't do that.
and it's really sad. Like, I mean, really sad that they can't. The SEC has been so stringent on DWAC that even during the proxy vote to extend the merger, I heard rumblings that not through Patrick or anybody from there, but I heard some rumblings from Wall Street that they were even watching the proxy process and trying to find ways to penalize them for that. It's really bad. The TDS over there in the deep state is incredible. But it's not even Trump derangement syndrome. Free speech is a major threat to the deep state. It is. It's how they lose control, right?
Yeah.
And so they don't want to see TMTG and TruthSocial grow. I mean, it's bad enough that Twitter is semi-free speech now. There's still people getting kicked off left, right, and center, and certain posts are still being flagged and whatnot. But it's bad for them. Look at the people turning against the FBI and the CIA and all of the three-letter agencies because Elon exposed them all. Now, most of us knew that on the freedom movement side knew what was going on. To people on TruthSocial, none of that's new information.
Right.
But if this becomes a phenomenon, and Rumble and TruthSocial and some Twitter to some degree, unless he bankrupts it, which is where it's kind of headed, if half the country, or the world for that matter, is on these platforms, and the real truth can get out, a lot of all of the deep state has been controlling the masses with narrative. They're going to lose pretty quickly, and so you can bet the SEC doesn't want people to know that they've been supporting these dark pooling schemes and naked shorting and all kinds of stuff like that. And they're in as much trouble as the FBI right now. And it's going to get bad for them. So, of course, they don't want it to go. But their time is coming.
Well, I think somebody needs to come along and be able to look at both sides of the game and go, okay, you guys need to do this, and you guys over here need to do that, and move this along. Have you ever talked to Grossman or Nussbaum? I know you talked to Patrick, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So, what I will say is I'm very thankful that Patrick chooses to come on the show and to make his public presence on social media and on live streams through DWAC Live. It's a blessing. What I will say is this: I'm limited to who and what I can talk to in terms of entities because I'm a shareholder.
Right.
If anybody told me anything, that would be insider trading.
Right.
If I knew that the merger was going through tomorrow, that would and somebody told me it was going through and it didn't come to me through a filing,
All right.
that would be illegal and wrong, and we would be just as bad as everybody else.
So
I'm careful that
yeah.
I don't even ask to talk to certain people because I don't want to overstep my bounds.
Right.
Number two.
In other words, you're scared.
No. So I'm a Christian.
Right.
And I'm sort of a lay pastor. I actually started our first church plant here on Sunday.
Yeah.
But it's give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, which is like this. The rules are clear, and so when the government has a rule that is not against the word of the Lord, we follow it. If the government makes a rule that is against the word of the Lord, we don't. And so in this case, this rule is not against the Lord, and so I'm doing the right thing. It's unethical. Insider trading is unethical, and clearly all of Congress does it. It's terrible. This insider trading goes on all over the place. It's not right. And so for me, ethically, I would not even want to know before everyone else if the merger is going through, because it's not right. It's not right for me to have that information and other public investors not to have that information. And so there's a lot of work that has to be done to clean up the corruption in insider trading, and I wouldn't want to be part of it, if that makes sense. I'm a different guy. Like I've helped start engineering firms up here in Edmonton and been part of engineering firm startups, and I'm exceptionally strict on when we start up. My ethical commitment is extremely strong. I mean, obviously, I have the code of ethics that allows me to be a professional engineer, and so I guess to boil it down to this: your question was like, have you talked to these lawyers? The answer is I wouldn't ask, and the answer would be no. But when I send a message to Patrick and say, hey, do you want to come on the show, or I can send him a message saying, hey, this is what I'm seeing out in social media, but I can't ever get anything back business wise. Could I set up a meeting between him and other business people? Is what you're getting at? I mean, I could suggest as an acquaintance, say, hey, I've heard that so and so wants to have a business alignment with you, and I send the numbers over and step out of the way, right? That's the kind of thing you would do. But I guess what I'm telling everyone, I know a lot of people message me and they're like, so what's the word on the merger and what's Patrick doing? And as much as yes, he comes on the show to say things, and I know him, it's different, right? We have to be so careful as shareholders that we're not crossing boundaries, because that would just give the SEC more cannon fodder to cause more trouble, right? We don't want them to do that. So the DWAC, the SEC team is again, we're working on initiatives. They know what initiatives we're working on. Patrick sees them on Truth, right? I know he sees them, but we can't play together. Just like TMTG and digital world can't be working together. We have three different groups. We have TMTG group with their initiatives, we have digital world with their initiatives, and the shareholders with their initiatives. And so we have to just make sure that there's adequate separation between those three teams.
Okay, so let me give you my my 2 cents. Number one, the SEC lawyer has a conflict of interest that's on the case, right? We already know that. Strzok. So she needs to be fired. That's what Trump would do. Fire her, right? To get her fired, you need Bishop to get in there and investigate her and her emails and her whatever, and have her terminated and put somebody else on who's going to say, what's wrong with this deal? Is there anything wrong with this merger? Number one, I don't see anything in the filings. I haven't even seen the pipe deal. Number two, that's just moving a pawn out of the way. Who's the king here? The king is Donald Trump, and I don't see anything morally wrong or incorrect or ethically wrong with supporting somebody economically when he's being, excuse the French, cock-blocked by politics, right? Number three, my intent would be, listen, Penn Bancorp has 1 million shares authorized and issued for Donald Trump. Okay, it's in a trust. It's bearer shares. They're not allowed in the U.S., but they're allowed offshore. They're allowed in Europe. You know, I've studied this stuff for my whole life. So this $1 billion pipe deal is a pipe dream. So if we can get the lawyers and Patrick on the phone, and I'd do it publicly so that no one can say, oh, it's insider information. If you're talking publicly, there's nothing insider about it, right? So if you can broker a deal, I did this before, and I know how to blow shorts away. So does Elon Musk. You know, he knows how to get rid of short sellers or naked shorters. You know, never bet against Musk, they said. You know, but all of a sudden, when he started selling his shares, the naked shorters made a fortune. They made like $300 billion off of his short positions. You know what I'm saying? So it's all smoke and mirrors. There's nothing preventing from this company from finishing its merger. And I think TruthSocial is a great app. Personally, I've been using it. I've never had anybody. I've had one time where I said some things that were kind of, you know, vulgar. So then I got called on it. But since then I haven't, and nobody's messed with me. But on Twitter, you get blown away, like, just for disagreeing with the left, so to speak. And I don't vote. I'm not into politics. I'm into strictly free economics. That's why I call this stuff Freenomix. It's about how to create business using free economics. And economics in America and Canada is not free. It's all enslaved in politics. You know, otherwise you wouldn't have these people on Hastings Street homeless and doing drugs. You know, San Francisco is the same way. LA is the same way. All these major cities all over the world. And Donald Trump's a Christian. You're a Christian. I'm a Christian. You know, what would Jesus do? You know, that kind of thing. So
I agree.
That's my 2 cents. If you want to set up a deal, you know, I made a deal before, but just for a guy introducing me to the CEO of a company to make a deal, to pay him 1% of the value of the deal. Well, what's 1% of $1 billion investment in TruthSocial to blow away? Why isn't anybody suing the SEC from the shareholder side? You know, because you can't afford it. Because you can't afford it.
No. So there are people that have been looking for lawyers. My team has come across a couple. We've actually met with a few attorneys as well. And had some conference calls with them. I will say this, there's a struggle with it because standing is difficult. There is a solution, and I have helped push forward some documentation that is it's being reviewed. I'll put it that way. But the reality is it's more complicated than that. And so the best thing we can do right now is we have to get the merger through. A lawsuit will take longer than we have. Is really one of the responses I've gotten is the lawsuit will take a year and we only have 8 months. We need to get moving. Congress is what we believe is our best bet in the short term. It doesn't mean that I'm still not out there talking with lawyers. We are making progress, at least somewhat. But right now, the number one thing we can do is move Congress on this. Yeah. Because when they deal with the FBI and they deal with the CIA, they're going to be dealing with the SEC as well.
Yeah.
And so we need to get them on it. Right now, if anybody's listening and wants to know, the number one thing you can do is go to DWACSEC.com or my Truth page or any of the guys involved. Get that letter, customize it, and get it to your rep and to Matt Gaetz. We're going to do a push on the specific rep so that one rep who is the most likely to have the pull to move this forward gets a flood of these letters so that there is motivation to move. Not not that I don't think Matt Gaetz doesn't know about the merger, and I'm sure he knows about Truth Social, and I'm sure all the congressmen know about it. But one of the things that I learned in politics up here in Alberta is optics. So
optics.
Yeah, so GOP House takes over, and they immediately go, and the first thing they do is stop the SEC from screwing over Trump, who's really the House Speaker by proxy. Just to be fair, that would be bad off. That would be, hey, Trump is using his power to move forward a business deal that for himself, even when really it's more of an altruistic business deal. Just to be clear, it's not just about him. But the reality is he is the majority shareholder when this is all done, and this would be very bad optics. But when 500,000 shareholders, because that's how many we believe there are, just based on my research, and we know that now because Patrick even put it in a filing, there are hundreds of thousands, that when you have 500,000 shareholders, almost entirely Republican voters, regular retail people, not big people, being disenfranchised,
right?
And those people speak out in a loud voice. Now Congress can move. They can say, you know what? This isn't just to help Trump with his business deal. This is people being hurt by their government, by a weaponized SEC, and it has to stop. And so we are in the process of moving that needle forward.
All right. So you don't like my idea, huh?
I don't not like your idea. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about how you're planning to do it, and it's not my specialty. Clearly it's yours and not mine. And so what I would say is this. I mean, I'm not beyond bringing. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to bring it up with Patrick and the crowd. I don't know how it would work, again, because it's not my specialty. It's yours, and you clearly, like you said, you spent a lifetime researching these things and doing it. And so I guess I'd say is I don't really know where to go with it, just to be honest. That's I'd have to pray about it and see what happens.
Okay, so here let's leave it at this. There's 2.5 million shares open short recorded or publicly disclosed, but the naked shorts are not disclosed, and the actual majority shareholders I haven't been able to find out, and I haven't seen the merger agreement filing, a copy of the agreement. So this is all due diligence I would still have to do in order to even propose a deal. But if I were to propose a deal, I would have maybe you and Patrick and these two lawyers on the phone live talking about the deal, so that no one can say, oh, you did this behind everyone's back and it's shady business and it's fraud and it's, the SEC is going to get all stirred up about it.
No, I know where you're going with it. No, and that's it's respectable to want to do it out in the public square where it's an open business deal. That's a good idea.
I'm looking.
I would probably not be in the room.
No, you should be. You should be. You should be. You should be in the room. I'm reading this transcript of IPO Edge and the Palm Beach Hedge Fund Association interview with DWAC's Chief Executive Officer, Patrick Orlando, on November 22nd, 2022. And he goes, good morning. And he gets into this long discussion, and it was filed with an SEC filing. So it's not against the law to communicate. And the problem with the SEC is they're a suppressive organization. They suppress communication. They suppress filings. Money is information, and they suppress information. See, at the bottom of this discussion, it says participants in this solicitation, no offer or solicitation, and then in connection with the business combination and PIPE, Digital World Acquisition has filed with the SEC the registration statement, which includes a preliminary proxy statement prospectus and will include a definitive proxy statement. Well, that's what the lawyers do, But before you get to that point, you have to hash out all the details. What if Trump was removed from the equation? See?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. At this point, though, I mean, I don't even think it's about Trump anymore. It comes down to the free speech aspect.
Right.
Truth Social.
Exactly. I mean, that's why Trump got involved in the first place, because he got blocked on YouTube, blocked on Facebook, and blocked on Twitter.
I mean, Trump clearly respects free speech enough. If you think about it like this, okay? So this is the one area, maybe two, where I disagree with President Trump's policies. One of them being the vaccine. Obviously, I'm clearly, I'm not an anti-vaxxer for all vaccines, but this vaccine is, A, we shouldn't even be calling it a vaccine, it's flat out poison, gene therapy. And B, President Trump's still...
See, now YouTube will flag it. YouTube will flag our video because you said that.
They may. I'm trying to be careful enough.
Right, but that's the way they are, you know.
Exactly. And so the thing is, President Trump and I disagree. I disagree with his policies. He doesn't even know who I am, so he doesn't disagree with me. I just disagree with him. But the point is, on his platform, is probably one of the number one places where people who disagree with what would get us flagged here are able to share that information. It's phenomenal how we can share that, and yet that's his platform, and he publicly at least disagrees with what's getting shared, but he allows it, and he specifically set up a place where information can flow freely, even if he disagrees with it, and that's what's impressive.
Well, I have a plan in mind, and it takes a lot of communication. I've been involved in these kind of deals before, and once people understand what I'm thinking and what the proposal is, they go, "Oh, gee, why didn't we think of that?" You know, I mean, all the charge is around Donald Trump being associated with this company, and it's Trump Media and Technology Group. His name is on it. You know. What if it was the Infinite Freedom of Speech and Technology Group instead of Trump? You see? Then all the charge would be gone, and Trump could still own the stock as a proxy. He could appoint a proxy shareholder. You know, he can delegate his proxy to someone like me.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No, you don't think it'll happen because it's not conventional. See? It's unconventional.
No,
But anyway, I appreciate you talking to me about this whole deal, and I'm still digging into it. And I don't own shares, and Penn Bank Corp isn't incorporated, and you know it's not an offer to buy or sell stock. It's just open, honest discussion about a problem, and it's a social problem. Really. That's why.
Yes, it is. And we really do need to get, the biggest thing we can do right now is get shareholders speaking out. That's really what we got to get done.
So I created a space on Quora, and I shared it on TruthSocial. It's called TruthSocial and Trump Truths, and I'm going to post this video when we're done on there later today or maybe tomorrow. But why don't you send me the links of all these groups that you got involved, and I'll put something in writing that you can share with Patrick, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Let's get connected offline, and let's...
I mean, how many people are activists or hacktivists, as you could call them? Lots. If there's 500,000 shareholders, I'm sure all 500,000 shareholders would like to move this off the dime, you know?
Oh, yes. Yes, they would. Except for Citadel. They're probably the only shareholder that doesn't, but that's okay.
Well, what's with them? What's with Citadel?
Well, because Ken Griffin
Yeah.
who runs Citadel,
Yeah.
hates Trump, and he's also not pro free speech, and he's also naked short. He's making his money off of the payment for order of flow.
Right.
He's making his money off naked shorts, and so and he's allowed this to get to where it is. Even Kash Patel, director at TMTG, spoke out against him and said, "Yeah, he's a financial criminal," and he's a pretty bad dude. So anyway, he's got a few shares. They dumped most of theirs. They've been dumping their shares to keep the price down, but it's not working. So it's
well, I know how to handle him. I just pick up the phone and call him. That's what Elon Musk said. Raising money is just a matter of making a few phone calls. I pick up the phone and say, "Hey, here's what I'm about to do. You better either stop or just give me your shares, and I'll take them off your hands right now."
Wait. Are you saying you know Ken Griffin?
I didn't say I know him, but I can find his phone number and make a couple phone calls and leave him a message and maybe dig up his email and send him an email. This is the internet. This is modern technology, modern communication. It's not about who you know. It's about how can you get through to people. Say, "Hey, we know what you're doing. Here's what we're going to do. Heads up. Here's our intent. And you can come at me with all your accusations." I've been accused of all kinds of crap in my lifetime. I love this one. I tell people, I say, "Hey, if I told you I was a compulsive liar, would you believe me?" And I do it to their face, And if they said, "Yeah, you're a compulsive liar," I knew they don't trust me. It's a quiz. It's a test of trust. But stocks are all an illusion. It's all just smoke and mirrors. It's all just words on pieces of paper and electronic. It's all electronic now. So there's no tangible thing there. There's no something you can knock your hands on, or like a car is different. You can buy it, you can hold it, it runs, it moves, it does things. Gold is the same way. It's tangible, but stocks, they're not tangible. They're just ideas backed by confidence, and people have lost confidence in Trump. They've lost confidence in the stock. They've lost confidence in the deal, and it's all just a big confidence game, really.
It is.
And what it takes is for TruthSocial and Trump Media Group and this DWAC deal to be moved along and get rid of the pawns in the way, because the king is Biden and Trump, on the white king and the black king. That's what it is. It's a game. And right now, Trump's made some moves that's going to just DWAC Biden, in my opinion.
DWAC Biden. Oh, I think we got a new hashtag. That's the perfect way to finish this.
I love it.
Out there and we're going to start.
I love it, Chad.
DWAC Biden hashtag.
I love you, brother. Okay, I'm going to let you go then. Send me your links. Send me your links, and thanks for calling and spending your dime. All right, have a good one. Bye. All right, that was pretty good. Edgar, latest filings. Freenomics. Okay, we're over and out. How do we get off of this live streaming? End the live stream. Thanks for watching. There was like 2 people watching. All right. See you later. Edit in studio. Okay, we're done. This was an hour on this